This month on The Spark, our theme is Breaking Barriers to Build Successful Futures. We'll learn more about a counseling and education center for adults and children in the greater Memphis area, an organization providing connection based, trauma informed care to the Shelby County, Tennessee adoptive, foster care, and special needs community, and a collaborative effort to get more women involved in the construction industry here in the Mid South. We'll also share a special moment from our Spark Awards 2019.
Lipscomb & Pitts Insurance is honored to serve the Memphis community for over 60 years. We've always focused on supporting our community and believe in promoting the positives, encouraging engagement, and leading by example. Lipscomb & Pitts Insurance is proud to be a presenting sponsor of The Spark.
Additional funding for The Spark is provided by Mueller Industries, YMCA of Memphis and the Mid-South, Meriton, United Way of the Mid-South, MyTown Movers, MyTown Roofing, MyTown Miracles, Stuart Lloyd Cohen, Chief Motivation Officer, and by Serves.
Ever been excited by a new idea? Inspired by watching someone lead by example? When we talk about creating change, we start by sharing the stories of everyday heroes making a difference in their own way so we can learn and do the same. This truth is the power behind this show, which is focused on business and community leaders who are leading by example to give back, fuel change, and create new opportunities for the Mid-South. I'm Jeremy Park, and this is The Spark.
They're a counseling and education center helping adults and children here in the greater Memphis area. We're talking about Kindred Place. We're here with the executive director, our friend Jennifer Balink. And Jennifer, let's start with a little bit of a history lesson going back to Exchange Club Family Centers. So give us a little history lesson on Kindred Place.
Jeremy, thank you. I'll try and make the story short. The Exchange Club Family Center was started in the early 1980s by local exchange clubs who wanted to make sure that kids grew up in homes where parents had all the tools and techniques and skills to give them a nurturing environment free from abuse or neglect. So we trained volunteers, went into homes. Since then, we've grown into a full service counseling center that still works with parents. And we also work with partners, intimate partners, teenagers, young children, people of all ages on their family dynamics. So we've always been a family center from the very start, investing in healthy family relationships, and we're still that today. Some of our work is specific to domestic violence or violence and aggression inside the home, because we know that kids, when they see violence between their parents or between a parent and a partner, that it affects them in very many ways and makes them more likely in adulthood either to be victims of abuse or to be themselves aggressors. And so working with the children and the parents at the same time, we hope to break that cycle and have healthy homes for generations to come. So sometimes that work happens as a whole family. Sometimes that happens through individual counseling with a child or individual counseling with a parent. We do whatever the family needs. All of our programs are led by clinicians, by licensed counselors. So we have a parenting class, a co-parenting class. Many people know us from our Saturday co-parenting class. If you're getting divorced in the state of Tennessee, you have to take a class to help you support your children as you are co-parenting. So people come to us for that class. All of our work is guided by counselors and clinicians who can give individual attention where it's needed and help the family heal.
Dive in on the conflict resolution, the anger management, and the ripple effect that creates. Because to your point, in some cases, they don't even realize that they need the help, but then all of a sudden they come out and they're transformed, and it really does create a ripple effect for our community.
It really does. You know, when each one of us individually has a better handle on our emotions and our responses to the people around us, including in our own homes, we just do better. And sometimes that's hard. Some people have, have learned from childhood about managing their emotions or have environments that are supportive to do that, and other people have less of that support. But they are things that you can learn, skills that you can develop. And we believe that it all starts inside your home where you live. So if you are working on your own emotional regulation as a parent, so that you respond in an appropriate way when your child is challenging, that helps the child develop that skill too. And it spills out to workplaces and schools and in the neighborhoods around town, so that when you encounter something that is challenging, you are able to manage your response. And that is something that we see, with our counselors working with really young children and their parents. They do counseling work in a room where they can see them through, the one-way mirror. And it's like watching magic happen right in front of us when parents and children learn to interact in that way. And that's a lifetime investment.
Going back to domestic violence and your work around that, the pandemic has been so challenging in so many ways. And when you talk about, in many cases, what it's created, it's escalated the need for what you do for sure, but unfortunately, the incidence of domestic violence. So talk about kind of the pandemic and what you're seeing and the role that you play in this, in curbing domestic violence.
There are increasing calls to the police, increasing calls to the Family Safety Center, and not always increasing calls for counseling work to go with that, because you have to have a private and safe space to do telehealth sessions, or have to be able to leave home to do an in-person session for people who have kids. That's particularly challenging. So one of the things that we are watching and thinking about is how to be available when the opportunity arises for somebody to come get help, whether that's a phone call or a telehealth session, or planning in for the future. We know that right now the need is great and the ability to access it is not. So we are working to be as quickly responsive as we can, and know that we'll be there when things open back up. The pandemic won't last forever. It feels that way right now, but it's not going to last forever. And when we get back to a more normal way of interacting with one another, we'll be there for anyone who needs us.
How can we help? I know financial contributions are extremely important to underwrite your efforts, but how can we help?
The best way to help actually is exactly what we're doing right now, which is talking about the ability to access counseling services and thinking about relationships and where to go when things are maybe beyond your ability to manage as a person. So anybody who's watching or listening, thinking about if you've got the little voice in your head that says, maybe I need to talk to somebody, that voice is probably right. And so whether it's Kindred Place or another counseling service, our hope is that anyone who is struggling in any way with their kids, with their relationship, with feelings of isolation, with something that feels like a weight, that they would go talk to somebody, talk to a skilled clinician whose only job is to help you through whatever you're going through. It's the best gift you can give yourself.
And then wrap up with contact information, website. Where do we go?
It's kindred-place.org, or call us 901-276-2200. You can leave us a message anytime and we will get back in touch with you.
Well, Jennifer, greatly appreciate all you and your team do. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Jeremy, thank you so much.
They're helping children who've been adopted and foster children and families heal. We're here with Mark Ottinger. He is the executive director for Memphis Family Connection Center. And Mark, let's start. Give us a little bit of a history lesson for Memphis Family Connection Center.
Yeah, we're right at 5 years old, and we launched really to bring hope and healing to help support families, like you just said, for children that are in foster care, children that have been adopted, and that has now expanded really to children all children that we are now serving. And so we started 5 years ago, opened the doors, trying to provide holistic therapeutic care, and did not know if anybody would step in the door. And it has grown to now we're serving thousands of children each year through our services. And the heartbeat of what we do is around trauma and bringing healing to children that have experienced trauma or ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. And so we have a team that wraps around a child and a family, and we provide counseling and occupational therapy, speech therapy, expressive art therapy. We do parent mentor parenting classes. And so we really just come around the whole family to bring healing.
Yeah, talk about where it starts in terms of the first step, if you will, in terms of where you kind of begin, and then kind of walk us through that impact as it goes along.
Yeah, so we put family in our name because we want to wrap around the whole family. It's not just about the child. It's not just about the parent. And so we kind of start where they are. I mean, I think when families arrive to us, some don't even know why they're showing up. They just know they need something. Something is not right. Something is off. A relationship is strained. A relationship is broken. A child is struggling. A marriage is struggling. There's something going on. And for us, we just kind of sit down and hear the story and hear all that's going on in the home. And maybe they think they're coming to us for occupational therapy, and it ends up that, man, we dive in with the caregivers. We dive in with a mom. We dive in with a dad. A grandparent, a sibling. We just kind of meet them where they are. And we always say we want to support hope and healing. And so wherever they are, wherever we can bring some hope, wherever we can bring some healing of where there has been something broken or some brokenness, then that's where we start.
What are one or two recommendations or tips? The holidays can be tough. We've got the pandemic that we're still in the middle of. So you have uncertainty, yet with hope. You have the want for connectivity, yet disconnected. So there's a lot going on. But what would be some just recommendations for having grace, for the long-term outlook, for just around this idea of healing families and providing hope? What are some tips?
Yeah, I think one, simplify the schedule. I know, and that seems a little odd because our schedules are all so off, and we're so longing. I mean, don't we all wish we could go to 20 Christmas parties this year? But I think, routine and schedules are key for children. They're really key for us too, as adults. And so I always tell families, if you can simplify your holiday schedule, and if you can provide some routine, that it's not every day is different and crazy, but children often, they may have sensory processing, some challenges, and the holidays are just full of all the senses. I mean, there's bright lights everywhere, there's food everywhere, there's smells everywhere. It's just going. And so I think things that you can do to simplify your schedule, simplify your home. I think too, I think a lot of times as parents or caregivers, we have a lot of expectations going into the holidays. Like, what is a great holiday? We're going to sit around and do this. We're going to all decorate the Christmas tree together, or we're going to sit around the fireplace and read stories or watch movies. And maybe that's not the best thing for your child. And so I think too, if caregivers, if parents can just let some of their expectations maybe not be so high, and just, hey, the goal is to connect with my child.
Talk about how we can help. How can we help your efforts?
Yeah, well, our big thing right now is Red Tub Day. And man, that started 10 years ago before we even opened the center. And we do Christmas for children in foster care. And we've provided Christmas for over 4,000 children through the last 9 years. This is our 10th anniversary. We're going to do 800 to 900 children this year. And we need people that might be willing to jump on board with us and fill a red tub. We know that some folks feel a little overwhelmed maybe going out to the stores and shopping. So we've tried to make it easy. You can go to redtubday.com and there's a button you can click and you can pay for a tub and we'll do the shopping. So we've tried to make that as simple as possible. That will provide Christmas. And we also have a way for you to donate to help offset the cost of the services that we provide. And so, one of the things that we've committed to is providing affordable, cost-effective therapeutic services for children and families. And so we don't turn anyone away. Since March, when the pandemic hit, we've provided close to $135,000 worth of free or reduced cost services. And so families have been hit hard by the pandemic. Over 60% of the families that we serve are qualifying for free or reduced services. And we're committed to providing that, whether they're paying $5 or $15 or whatever for a service, they're going to get occupational therapy, speech, whatever they need, counseling. We're not turning anybody away. So you can also make donations online toward that for us. And we're always looking for folks that may want to come on and volunteer or serve. I mean, there are opportunities to get involved, with the Memphis Family Connection Center.
Wrap up with your website, social media, phone number. Where do we go to get involved and learn more?
Yeah, so memphisfamilycc.org is our website. You can also go to Empower to Connect if families are needing resources for the holiday. That is one of our programs. We also have a podcast called Empower to Connect, which you can download. And we just did our episode that came out yesterday was about the holidays and things that families can talk about. But we've got, Empower to Connect podcast, Empower to Connect website, memphisfamilycc.org is our website.
Well, Mark, thank you for all you and your team do. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for coming on the show.
Hey, thank you, Jeremy.
The Spark Awards annually recognize and celebrate individuals and organizations that have made outstanding contributions to the community. This year's recipient of the Individual Adult Award is John Neal.
I'm John Neal. I started Courage Through Cancer in 2015 after a very serious episode with one of my identical twin sons, Harrison. He was diagnosed with a very rare, but luckily for us, a very treatable tumor, and it caused us to have a surgery at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. He was the 100th person to get this type of tumor. I can't spell it, I can't pronounce it, but it walked me through those doors for the first time. And 6 hours later, when I walked out of that place, I was never going to be the same person again. And on my way home, my best friend called to tell me that he had had stage 4 cancer diagnosed and it had come back. And for 4 months, Jerry showed the most remarkable triumph over cancer I've ever witnessed. Here's a guy that was playing sets of tennis with a chemo drip pack attached to his side. Here's a guy that is trying to talk to every single person in the IV room at West to inspire them to fight. And I was like, man, I really need to do something that talks about what I'm witnessing here because people need to know your story. He goes, buddy, listen, I appreciate that, but there are others that inspired me. And so what we did as a concept with Courage Through Cancer is we started identifying people within the Mid-South from all various cancer facilities, finding people that could tell their story to show other Memphians how to fight this disease. My purpose with Courage Through Cancer is to force a conversation between all the different cancer facilities in the Mid-South by getting patients from all these different facilities to tell their stories of how they beat cancer, or if their loved one lost the battle, how they inspired others around them to keep fighting. It's simple people in the Mid-South that are telling incredible stories of inspiration to get everybody fired up to fight this thing. I think that one of the greatest things right now, we have all of our videos housed at YouTube, and now we're converting them all over to our website. And it's the most rewarding thing to watch and listen to the feedback from our honorees. We're able to reach people all across the country now with this media form, and it's allowing people to get instant feedback from people that have walked the walk. You can hear from an actual cancer patient what you're going to expect, how you can go through it, and they can be inspired to fight the same way that they have done. And to me, that's the greatest gift that you can give anybody, is to give them hope. And I've been blessed with tremendous people to carry this cross with me.
They're a collaborative effort to get more women involved in the construction industry. We're talking about Women Build 9012. And we're joined by Kit Crichton-Smith. She's the founder of Women Build 9012. And Kit, let's start. You also have a background with FedEx. And so give us a little bit of your backstory and what led you to start Women Build 9012.
I'd be glad to. Thank you, Jeremy. I started at FedEx 35 years ago as a handler in the hub, and mainly to put myself through college. So I worked as a handler in the hub, then you can bid out at FedEx. So I bid to be a courier, truck driver, and then I was a manager at a station in Springfield, Missouri. Then I bid back here to when I finished college and became a maintenance specialist or a facility manager. And I managed the facilities maintenance for the Memphis hub. Well, and started building things, and then I got into project management and building buildings. And right now I am the project manager building the $1 billion construction project out at the Memphis Hub.
Talk about what that means for young women and girls in terms of seeing you go through the career ranks and now be in charge of a project of this magnitude.
Well, one of the things that I was doing, I was invited to sit with the Chamber of Commerce and work on the Upskills program and try to figure out how to get people into the trades. Because as a project manager, we know that there's not enough people to even do the labor to build the jobs. Then I'm looking at these huge buildings and the sort systems in them and thinking, who's going to take care of these? How are we going to maintain them? And so there is a collaborative with the Chamber of Commerce to develop ways to get people engaged. And they were talking about all the men and how do you get men to their jobs? How do you get them engaged? How do we get the word out there? And I thought, hey, women build 901 too. And then I went home that night and I thought, okay, how can I build on this? How can I get girls interested in doing not only what I do, but what I see is a need for the future in the construction industry and the trades. So I went to Dr. Ivy at the University of Memphis, created a STEM program, and I engaged her and talked to her about how she did that and how they got into the school systems and got with the girls and any of the youth. Then I also engaged Sandra Howell at the Chamber of Commerce and talked about how to do communication. And the National Women in Construction here in Memphis, which Megan Medford is the president of that organization. She also runs Medford Roofing. And we discussed it. And all of a sudden, 3 months later, I have 50 women who want to be mentors of other women, whether it be girls 8th grade and up, or women who want to change a career or start a career. And knowing that women can be exposed and educated and empowered to pursue these viable careers in construction that will make them independent, financially independent, earn them respect and security for them and their families, so they don't have to depend on anybody else. And I wanted them to see that we all look different. There's Black, white, Hispanic. We're of all ages, young and old. So I wanted them to see what we all look like, and they can do it too if they want to. Right now, we are putting together presentations and a virtual tour of construction sites and the jobs on construction sites that we can take and do presentations in the Shelby County school system. We can also take anyone that contacts us at womenbuild9012, and that's TOO @gmail.com. They send us an email, say, hey, I want to try a new career. Then we'll ask them a few questions if they know what they're interested in, and give them a mentor. Then the mentor will work directly with them, possibly to set up a tour, a personal tour of a construction site, or a warehouse or welding, like the local union, welders union, ironworkers union. They're very supportive. And they have several women who are, could show the young girls or other women around and show them how, welding happens. Anyway, so we're putting together virtual tours, since now we're all virtual, as well as you can come to a physical tour and follow all the CDC guidelines and stay safe. So the object now is to get all these presentations done, have women like me and an African-American, a Hispanic, old, young, all on the presentation for, say, a class at, White Station High School, and say, here we are, you can do it too. This is what we've done. This is a virtual tour of a site. If you're interested, contact us. We'll help you on your path, and we will stay engaged with you. If you need help, even if you get a job and you get into it and you say, no, I'm not sure I can do this, we can help support and maybe help you move into a different career in construction if you know that's where you want to be. And for me, I love my job. I absolutely love doing what I do and being engaged in what's presumed as a man's world, but it's not so much anymore.
So wrap up and mention again the email, and also too where else we can find you. I know Facebook is another place we can find you. So where else can we go to learn more about Women Build 9012?
All right. So if you're interested, Women Build 9012 at gmail.com. And that's Women Build 901, the numbers, and TOO, gmail.com. We're also on Facebook at Women Build 9012. And we will soon have our own webpage. Right now, we're just working on trying to get all the stuff done as fast as people would like to get us into their presentations and their school systems.
Well, Kit, greatly appreciate all you and your team are doing. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Jeremy.
Sometimes to build successful futures, we first have to break down barriers. Those can be personal relationship barriers between adopted and foster children and their parents, which the Memphis Family Connection Center is working to heal so families can build trust and children can grow and thrive. Barriers can be a result of family conflict, anger and violence, or lack of communication, which Kindred Place is addressing through their 2-generation model with counseling, group therapy, anger management classes, parenting support, and conflict resolution. Or barriers can be professional, like within the construction industry, which is why it's so important that Women Build 9012 is shattering glass ceilings and working with other organizations to recruit, mentor, and train more women to get involved in construction and literally building the future for our city. So thank you to all our guests who are breaking barriers to build successful futures, and to all of you who continue to power the good. To learn more about each of the guests, to watch past episodes, and to share your stories of others leading by example, visit WKNO.org and click on the link for the Spark. We look forward to seeing you next month, and we hope that you'll continue joining with us to create a spark for the Mid-South. Happy holidays, Happy New Year, and stay safe.
Lipscomb & Pitts Insurance is honored to serve the Memphis community for over 60 years. We've always focused on supporting our community and believe in promoting the positives, encouraging engagement, and leading by example. Lipscomb & Pitts Insurance is proud to be a presenting sponsor of The Spark.